and welcome. Tonight, the Pan-Niger Delta Forum PANDEF sets up a high-level committee chaired by former AGF Kanu Agabi to immediately political feud between River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara and Minister of the FCT Nyesom Wike. The Edo State High Court orders the remand of 52 youths arrested following protests in Ekpoma, sending them to Biaja Correctional Center pending further proceedings. Katsina state government explains plans to secure the release of 70 suspected bandits, while security expert Kabiru Adamu cautions against pardoning individuals involved in criminal banditry activities. And Norway-based group Iran Human Rights reports that at least 648 protesters have been killed in ongoing crackdown on anti-government demonstrations across Iran.
In our business, MBS warns December inflation may spike artificially ahead of data release.
On sports news tonight, Real Madrid announces departure of head coach Xabi Alonso by mutual consent after just 7 months in charge of the 36-time Spanish champions.
And from Abuja, Nigeria's Foreign Affairs Minister says country to leverage Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week to turn climate commitments into actionable projects. With the political situation in Rivers State bringing with it its own twists and turns, the leadership of the Pan-Niger Delta Forum PANDEF has inaugurated a committee headed by former Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Kanu Agabi, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, to find a political solution to the ongoing feud between the Governor of Rivers State, Siminalayi Fubara, and the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. The committee is mandated to, among other things, identify all actors beyond the governor and the minister, reach out to them, facilitate dialogue, and recommend steps for reconciliation. The national chairman of PANDEF, Ambassador Godno Zigali, says that he is optimistic that the committee will be able to find a lasting political situation to the escalating political crisis in Rivers State.
The terms of reference of this committee are very simple, and I'll read them out. The first thing, I have almost the same page. Okay. The first thing is for them to fully identify the main actors in the crisis between the governor and the speaker of the House of Representatives. There are actors. It's only not two of them. Because even when the speaker, the motion was moved, there were other people that were there that moved motions and contributed. Next, to reach out to these critical players, especially the minister of the FCT, all former governors of Rivers State, elders and traditional rulers and top political leaders. Others fuel crisis in states. We have to talk to them. There's a broken down wall. We have to build it back. Number 3, so facilitate dialogue between them. We want to solve the problem. Rivers State will be solved once and for all. People asked me a few days ago, the SGF went to Benue State and said, I will solve the governor, I will solve the SGF, the vice president. If other states are having problems, ours is not out of place. They are our children. They respect us. They know us. They will listen to us.
Meanwhile, the impeachment drama surrounding River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has taken a surprising twist as 2 opposition lawmakers in the River State House of Assembly are now appealing for restraint and reconciliation. Addressing journalists during a joint press briefing, the minority leader of the House, Honorable Silvanus Nwankwo, and Honorable Peter Abe of Degema constituency have asked their colleagues to look beyond the governor's alleged infractions and embrace dialogue in the interest of peace and stability. According to the lawmakers, appeals have continued to pour in from stakeholders both within and outside River State, urging the Assembly to reconsider the impeachment process.
We have called this press conference to appeal to our fellow colleagues to tamper justice with mercy and to see how we can resolve this matter apart from the impeachment proceedings. That is why we are here this morning to appeal to the conscience of our fellow colleagues. Having listened to so many pleas, calls from our elders and leaders, both within and outside the state, begging for leniency, we are begging, calling our colleagues to reconsider our step and see how this matter can be resolved amicably, even though the governor and the deputy governor has infringed on the Constitution. But we are appealing on them to reconsider our stand.
The governor, yes, he has infringed on parts of the Constitution, but we are human beings, and we as people, as members of the 10th Assembly, we want to plead with our colleagues to please reconsider. This, we have received calls from leaders, from people in River State, outside River State, and we see that you don't raise the axe and swing it as you raise it. So we plead with our colleagues to reconsider, to please reconsider, provided the governor too has a role to play. He too must make sure he doesn't infringe furthermore on the Constitution. So that will bring an amicable settlement to the whole thing.
And away from politics in River State, we'll turn our attention to security now, where it has already significantly tightened around the Kano government house today, amid growing speculation that Governor Abba Yusuf of Kano may be defecting from his party, the New Nigeria People's Party, to the ruling All Progressives Congress, the APC. Multiple security formations, including the police and the DSS, were deployed in and around the seat of power, with several armored personnel carriers stationed at key access points, creating an unusual atmosphere around the complex. Although no official announcement has been made, political circles in the state have been rife with reports that Governor Yusuf is weighing on a move to the All Progressives Congress, the APC. Meanwhile, Governor Caleb Mutfwanga of Plateau State has ascribed his own decision to join the All Progressives Congress as a realignment meant for the development of his state. The governor stated this in an interview with State House correspondents shortly after meeting with Vice President Kashim Shettima at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. He says the visit is to consult with the Vice President on areas of collaboration between Plateau State and the federal government.
I've come to consult the Vice President on many important national issues. We need the collaboration between the states and the federal government, and therefore, at the beginning of the year like this, you need to be clear-minded on the direction you want to pursue. The Vice President coordinates a lot of activities, particularly in the agri sector, and we have a lot to share about the collaboration. And so in essence, this is the purpose of the visit. And I can assure you that the Vice President was pleased to have me, and we had very, very useful conversations. I don't like to use the word defect. I like to use the word realignment. And it's work in progress, and things are shaping up nicely. At the appropriate time, I will engage the media.
The leadership crisis rocking the Labour Party has taken a new turn in River State as members of two factions of the party alongside the Obedient Movement announced their defection to the African Democratic Congress, the ADC. The development follows months of internal rancor within the Labour Party, which created parallel leadership structures across the country, and the recent decision by the party's former presidential candidate, Peter Obi, to align with the ADC ahead of the 2027 general election. Our correspondent Deborah Mie-Fibersima reports.
For over 1 year, internal disagreements within the Labour Party has deepened, leading to the emergence of two groups at both the national and state levels. The crisis took a new dimension recently with the political realignment of the party's former presidential candidate, Peter Obi, ahead of the 2027 general election. Here in Rivers State, members of the group loyal to him alongside his support base, the Obedient Movement, have followed suit. At a joint media briefing in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital, the leadership of the Labour Party under the Nenadi Usman Group, in coalition with the Obedient Movement, announced their defection to the African Democratic Congress.
The exit of our principal from the Labour Party marks the end of our sojourn in the Labour Party, as we deeply believe in the mandate of His Excellency Peter Gregory Obi to rescue our dear nation from its retrogressive state, charting a course towards sustainable development and the enthronement of true democratic principles.
By implication, it means all obedience, wherever they are part of the A, D, and C. The reason why we are pursuing this course is not far-fetched. We belong to a country where social amenities, healthcare should be a right, but then it is within the confines of a very few.
Receiving the defectors, the chairman of the African Democratic Congress in Rivers State described the move as a welcome development, saying it's aimed at building a strong political opposition.
All what we are doing here today is just to consolidate at the state level. We are all aware that on the 31st of December 2025, that Peter Obi officially joined the ADC. And by that, all those that are loyal to his cause will have to follow suit.
The gathering also reacted to the ongoing impeachment process against Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his deputy Ngozi Odu by the Rivers State House of Assembly.
The planned impeachment of the governor is going to destabilize Rivers State. And whatever would destabilize the peace in Rivers State definitely cannot and can never be in the interest of Rivers people. So we have an assembly that is an appendage of the FCT minister.
This is not democracy they are doing. You cannot tell me that someone who is not a member of your party will dictate to you. You say you are now all members of APC. And yet a non-APC man will dictate to you to impeach an APC governor. Is that democracy at work? The constituents of all these members of assembly who are doing this ought to recall them.
The defectors say their move to the ADC marks the beginning of a broader political realignment in Rivers State, as they insist unity, constitutional order, and good governance must remain central to Nigeria's democratic journey. Deborah Mie-Fibersima, Channels Television News.
And in part two, after the break, the Katsina state government explains plans to secure the release of 70 suspected bandits, while security expert Kabiru Adamu cautions against pardoning individuals involved in criminal banditry activities. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. The Pan-Niger Delta Forum PANDEF sets up a high-level committee chaired by former AGF Kanu Agabi to mediate the political feud between River State Governor Fubara and Minister Nyesom Wike. Edo State High Court orders the remand of 52 youths arrested following protests in Epoma, sending them to Biaja Correctional Center pending further proceedings. The Katsina State State government explains plans to secure the release of 70 suspected bandits, while security expert Kabiru Adamu cautions against pardoning individuals involved in criminal bandit activities. And Norway-based group Iran Human Rights reports that at least 648 protesters have been killed in ongoing crackdown on anti-government demonstrations across Iran. We turn our attention to security now in Edo State, as High Court sitting in Benin City, the state capital, has ordered the remand of 52 suspects at the Obiaja Correctional Center following their arrest by police in connection with last weekend's protest in Epoma in Esan West local government area of Edo State. The suspects were taken into custody after demonstrations erupted over rising insecurity in the area, prompting heightened police intervention and subsequent investigations.
Angry youth flooded the streets of Epoma in Esan West local government area, protesting a recent surge in kidnappings and worsening insecurity in the community. Days after the demonstrations, the mood shifted from defiance to anxiety, as several of the alleged protesters were arrested and brought before the court, with worried relatives gathering in hope of a favorable outcome. That hope quickly faded as the court ordered the suspects remanded, triggering scenes of grief, while a police vehicle moved in to convey them to the Obiaja Correctional Center. Counsel to one of the accused maintains that the defendants are not facing trial for participating in the protest, expressing confidence that justice will ultimately be served.
What we saw today in court, more dramatic, coming with bogus charges like armed robbery, malicious damage, grievous bodily harm, and all of that. And somehow I asked myself, who are the complainants in this matter? Because nobody has come to complain that he or she was robbed, that he or she was injured. So the police just coming up to say these people were engaged in armed robbery. Of course, we all know that this was just issue of protest. Perhaps protest that was not properly managed, that escalated to what we may say, okay, riot. But, what is pathetic in this whole thing is that some of these students were even in their hostel, sleeping, when the police broke into their hostel, arrested some of these people. But we just hope justice is served in this matter.
As legal proceedings continue, the families of the suspects remain hopeful for their release, even as residents of Epoma renew calls for a lasting solution to the security challenges confronting the community.
And the Edo State government has reacted to that incident, insisting that it is ramping up efforts to tackle insecurity in the state with a strong focus on Edo Central. Governor Monday Okpeholo, who disclosed this during a visit to the palace of the Noje of Epoma on Sunday, vowed to bring perpetrators of violence to justice after a protest over insecurity on Saturday escalated into an attack on the palace. The government says it has rolled out strategic security operations, including technology-driven measures to restore peace and order in the community.
Just Wednesday, we had a security meeting, and it was all targeted at Edo Central, most especially Epoma as is. We have been doing a lot, and before this ugly situation happened, we had planned something. Security is secret, and I'm not supposed to say it to anybody, and we are still going to carry it out. These people will leave our forests if they are there. This is not acceptable. We must make sure that we bring these people to book. We must go after them.
What to appeal to you, please? Well, as people here, we are really finding things difficult here. A lot of people have been kidnapped and they have paid a lot of ransom. And we don't really know who people are doing all these things. We are hearing different stories. So I know we are going to do something since you are around.
And in Katsina State, the government has revealed reasons for a plan to secure the release of 70 suspected bandits currently facing criminal trials for involving in banditry-associated activities, insisting that such tactics also happen in war situations globally. According to the state government, the measure is aimed at consolidating and broadening the existing peace deal between communities affected by insecurity in 15 local government areas of the state and repentant bandits. The government says that the deal has led to the release of at least 1,000 persons held captive by suspected bandits in different attacks. On January the 2nd this year, an official letter came to the open detailing the state government's plan to secure the release of suspected bandits currently facing criminal trials for their involvement in banditry-related activities. And the letter, classified as secret, was issued by the State Ministry of Justice and addressed to the state's Chief Judge, Justice Musa Danladi Abubakar. In the letter, the state government, through the Ministry of Justice, sought the intervention of the Administration of Criminal Justice Monitoring Committee to facilitate the release of the detained suspected terrorists. Meanwhile, security expert Mr. Kabiru Adamu has warned the Katsina state government against the proposal to pardon some suspected bandits, a move he describes as a serious security risk. Mr. Kabiru was reacting to the plan by the state government to pardon the 70 repentant bandits as part of a peace deal. He believes that such an act can undermine the long-term peace in Katsina state, and according to him, there must be full accountability and justice for victims to discourage criminals.
Katsina State has entered, 20 local governments in Katsina State have entered peace agreements with bandits out of the 34 local governments that you have in the state. So that's almost about 70% of the local governments in the state. And if, as part of that peace agreement, they are now freeing terrorists, I'm not surprised. Now, whether that is a good development or not, the peace agreement itself and this attempt to release is very dangerous. We need a framework for disengagement. That framework should spell out clearly the end game. What do we want to achieve? It should be comprehensive. I talked about demobilization, I talked about disarmament, I talked about de-radicalization. More importantly, we should make sure we retrieve their weapons from them. The action should be seen to punish offenders, not to reward offenders. Right now, what it seemed to us is that the Katsina state government is rewarding offenders, and there is nothing in the agreement to indicate that it is punishing the offenders. And so, again, we need that framework that shows clearly the comprehensive disengagement process, where, for instance, we would see them handing over their weapons, we would see them learning new professions. The ones that have committed acts of banditry, that is very evident. I'll give you an example. Bello Turiji, it is not hidden. He is a known bandit leader. Those ones need to be punished.
The news at 10 continues now. Let's head over to the nation's capital, Abuja, where Millicent Walker is ready, standing by to bring us more stories. Over to you, Millicent.
My thanks, Anne. Lovely to see you. We head outside our shores where the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tuga, says Nigeria will leverage the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week to concretize climate commitments into actionable projects. Speaking in Abu Dhabi, the minister said President Bola Tinubu will present identified initiatives to attract funding from international partners and organizations attending the event. The president will also hold a bilateral meeting with the president of the United Arab Emirates, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, during the summit, where a comprehensive economic partnership agreement is expected to be signed.
The Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week happens in between the COP. We just had the COP in Brazil. So in between, you need to concretize some of the agreements that have been reached. Otherwise, it just ends up being a talk shop. So events such as the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week provide the opportunity to extract certain tangible projects, commitments, funding that perhaps have been agreed. And in the case of Nigeria, we have a deficit in terms of project preparation. So this presents an opportunity to come with identified projects and try and source the funding from some of the countries and the organizations that are going to be in attendance. President Tinubu is going to have a bilateral with the President of the United Arab Emirates. That's His Highness Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. And one of the things to be discussed there is the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, which is expected to be signed during that bilateral agreement. So this sort of concretizes some of the discussions that have been going on and some of the investment opportunities, because a lot of investors from the UAE side are saying they want that agreement to be signed so that they ensure their investments will be protected.
And back home in our continuing coverage, a celebrated Nigerian author Chimamanda Adichie and her husband Ivare Sege have asked a private hospital in Lagos, Eurocare multi-specialist hospital, to produce within 7 days complete medical records and evidence preservation in relation to the tragic death of their 21-month-old son, Kanu Adichie Sege. The demand was made through a letter dated January 10, 2026, from the law firm of Pinheiro LP and signed by the founding partner, Kemi Pinheiro. The letter addressed to the medical director of the hospital, Tosin Majekudumi, stated that the child was referred from Atlantis Pediatric Hospital for various procedures, including an echocardiogram, brain MRI, PICC line insertion, lumbar puncture, in preparation for transfer to Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore, where a specialist team was waiting. The lawyers raised significant concerns about the hospital's handling of the treatment of the child. The letter specifically demanded that the hospital release within 7 days certified copies of all records related to the child's care, including admission notes, consent forms, drug charts, monitoring and procedural records, ICU reports, incident reports and details of all involved medical personnel. Additionally, the hospital is formally instructed to preserve all evidence relevant to this matter, whether physical, electronic or digital, such as CCTV footage, electronic monitoring data, pharmaceutical records and internal reviews. The lawyers have warned that destroying or altering evidence after receiving the notice will be considered obstruction of justice with legal consequences. Still ahead on the news at 10, National Bureau of Statistics warns December inflation may spike artificially. That's ahead of data release. That's coming off from Business News. You join us again. You're watching the news at 10, coming to you live from our Abuja studios. Let's head over to Taraba State, where the governor, Agbu Kefa, says his administration will restore the electorate's confidence in government while making life easy and better. According to him, no part of the state will be neglected in his developmental drive to ensure that good governance prevails. The governor stated this at an event to flag off the construction of a multi-billion naira road project across southern Taraba.
Governor Agbu Kefa of Taraba State is joined by state officials and National Assembly members to flag off the construction of multi-billion naira road construction projects across southern Taraba. The first flag-off is the 12-kilometer Lissam-Usa Federal Road, which links Usa to the Republic of Cameroon, and to be undertaken by the state government at a cost of over 10 billion naira.
The Moving Taraba Forward administration of His Excellency Agbu Kefa have awarded the contract for the construction of the following roads: the emergency construction of Wukari Kenterite Chinkai, 35 kilometers in Wukari local government, construction of Wukari Township Road Network and Takon Junction flyover bridge with a dual carriageway interchangeable road phase 1, and the construction of Takum Lisan Road, 12 kilometers in Takum and Wusa being flagged up today.
This is followed by the flag-off of the construction of Wukari Township Road networks and the Takum Junction flyover bridge, which dual carriageway interchange roads located in Wukari, the commercial nerve center of southern Taraba. The State and National Assembly members say they will support the governor to deliver more people-oriented projects across the state, insisting that the flag-off marks a new era to infrastructure development in the state.
Your Excellency, you have been doing wonderfully well in all areas, and today you are fulfilling your promise for the people of Usa local government. We as Parliament, we want to assure you that we will continue to give you the needed support to provide this kind of gesture to every part of Taraba State. We want to appreciate you, Your Excellency, and to assure you that the communities around will give every cooperation to ensure that this road is completed. We appreciate all our loved ones that have come to share in this great day of joy with us.
His last stop was the flag-off of the emergency construction of Wukari Kente Chinkai Road project, where the contractors assure us of delivering the project according to specifications. Governor Agbu Kefas, in his brief remarks, says his ambition is to make life easy and better, ensure the unity of the state, and restore confidence of electorates on government.
I want to assure my people that I will not disappoint you, so that after my tenure in the near future, anybody from Wukari that wants to become a governor, the whole state will accept the person. I'm here by the grace of God to help people, to help you to make progress in life. Finally, I want to thank all of you for your understanding and support when we made the decision to cross over to APC so that we can connect with the center, and I receive all the support from you, so thank you very much.
The governor used the opportunity to stress that his decision to join the APC from the PDP is to connect to the center, even as he seeks support for President Tinubu and solicits for more collaborations to develop the state.
And in a bid to tackle digital trading infractions, HF Markets, a global financial services company and multi-asset online broker providing platform for trading instruments like forex, commodities, stocks, indices and cryptocurrencies, is facilitating a training on ways to curb digital trading and also forex-related financial crimes. The three-day training, which it was declared open by the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, in Lagos, is expected to build capacity and strengthen the knowledge and investigative skills of the Nigerian police force in identifying digital trading-related fraud in the country and across the world.
Senior officers of the Nigeria Police from various formations across the country are participating in a high-level training aimed at strengthening the fight against cybercrime within the forex trading space. In his opening address, Managing Director of HF Markets, Mr. Okpe Abiola, expressed appreciation to the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, for the trust and confidence placed in HF Markets to facilitate the training.
On behalf of HFM, I thank you for honoring this invitation and for committing your time to this important program. We fully recognize the weight of your responsibilities and the increasing demands placed on investigative officers operating in today's fast-evolving financial and digital environment.
Declaring the training officially open, the Inspector General of Police, represented by the Commissioner of Police in charge of the Department of Training and Development at Force Headquarters Abuja, CP Eloho Boziakpo, commended HF Markets for the initiative. He emphasized that effectively tackling cybercrime requires strong collaboration between the public and private sectors.
I wish to express the profound appreciation of the Nigerian Police Force to HF Markets Nigeria Limited and its partners for their strategic support of this training program. That effective security governance in the increasingly interconnected financial system requires structured cooperation between public institutions and responsible private sector actors.
Highlights of the program include real-life case studies, practical discussions on forex trading scams, and expert-led sessions aimed at enhancing operational efficiency.
We want to make sure that on the long run, Nigerians are well protected. When they come into the trading space to invest their hard-earned money, we want to make sure that they have the right understanding of what they are doing. And then for the law enforcement agencies to also be able to identify criminal activities quickly.
The officers here are from various units, are saddled with the responsibility of investigating financial crimes. So whatever skills they get from here, they will go back and cascade it down to the officers working under them.
As a global trading platform, HF Markets remains optimistic that the training will contribute to a safer digital trading environment in Nigeria. The award-winning online forex and CFD broker reiterates its commitment to partnerships that promote transparency, security, and responsible trading worldwide.
And that's it from Abuja. Over now to Will Ebong with business news.
Thank you, Millicent. Nigeria's December 2025 inflation figures are expected to show an artificial spike due to a technical base effect, and that's according to the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS. And the NBS officials warned in a meeting today with journalists ahead of the data release on Thursday that the jump does not reflect real economic conditions. The head of price statistics at NBS, Ayo Anthony, explains the spike is one-off and results from arithmetic effects during statistical rebasing. He reassures that the numbers would be normalized in the coming months. Now, last week, financial derivatives company FDC projected a similar pattern, forecasting the December inflation rate could spike above 30%, but will reverse in early 2026. Now, Nigeria stands at a critical economic juncture, facing rising public debt and limited revenue. In its 2026 outlook, PwC Nigeria highlights the country's debt servicing capacity and the implications for long-term fiscal sustainability. Speaking on Business Morning, PwC's Nigeria's Associate Director, Akolawole Adulami, outlines the key challenges Nigeria could face in the year ahead.
Fiscal pressures may persist in 2026. Debt to GDP 4.28 projected, about 41%, I beg your pardon. Debt to income, deficit of budget in 2026. Essentially, the government needs to spend to grow the economy, right? And a lot has to be done in terms of revenue optimization going forward. We expect that the tax reforms will yield some results going forward in 2026. Of course, like every reform and every policy, you don't expect impact immediately or instantaneously. So the impact, the compliance will probably take maybe a few years, right? But a lot still has to be done on the fiscal side for sustainability. That is actually one of the risks for 2026.
Now to some company news. Wema Bank, one of Nigeria's most innovative banks and the pioneer of Africa's first fully digital bank, Alert, has unveiled an upgraded version of its flagship digital platform, Alert by Wema. The upgrade marks a new phase in the bank's digital journey, delivering a smarter, faster, and more intuitive banking experience while reinforcing Wema Bank's leadership in technology-driven financial services. Tagged Alert, the evolution, the platform introduces intelligent features designed to simplify everyday banking. One of them is voice banking, known as SOAR, which allows customers to carry out transactions using natural voice commands, improving accessibility and reducing friction. The upgrade also includes tap and pay for quick and secure contactless payments as well as uptime prediction technology offering greater transparency, reliability, and confidence around service availability. Since its launch in 2017, Alert has transformed how Nigerians experience digital banking. Now, with this upgrade, Wema Bank says it is strengthening its position as a digital-first institution. The bank adds that the evolution of Alert reflects its commitment to empowering individuals and businesses to bank with confidence in an increasingly digital economy. And the winning streak continues at the NGX as the market kicked off the new trading week with bullish sentiment. Laddie Williams tells us more.
Well, it was a bullish session at the Nigerian exchange today as investors returned with renewed confidence. The market closed firmly in the green, about 0.58% up, 163,000 for the all-share index, 244 points. This is like price discovery at this point, with market cap now 404.52 trillion naira. We see buy interest across, key stocks. The market breadth also painted a positive picture. 49 stocks advancing, comfortably, outweighing the decliners. And we see the banking counter 0.86% up. Consumer goods, big 0.57%. Then oil and gas, that's the outperformer right there with the sectors that we track. 1.94%, almost 2%. Thanks to gains there with Aradel holdings there. So it's a positive finish for the market today. Momentum is clearly building and investor sentiment is tilting to the upside.
Now let's see the snapshot of closing numbers for other major global equities. And that's business. I'm Will Ibang is back to Anne for more on the news at 10.
Thank you, Will. And outside our shores, President Donald Trump says the United States military is considering very strong options in Iran as anti-government protests, which have reportedly killed hundreds, have entered a third week. Mr. Trump has threatened to intervene and said that on Sunday that Iranian officials had called him to negotiate, but he says that we may have to act before a meeting. Here's Simon Pusey with more on this and other international news and around the world in 5 from our London studio.
Good evening and welcome to the Channel studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5.
There seem to be some people killed that aren't supposed to be killed.
President Donald Trump says the U.S. military is considering very strong options in Iran as anti-government protests, which have reportedly killed hundreds, enter a third week. The US-based human rights activist news agency says it has verified the deaths of nearly 500 protesters and 48 security personnel in Iran, while sources say the death toll could be much higher. Trump has threatened to intervene and said on Sunday that Iranian officials had called him to negotiate, but added, "We may have to act before a meeting." Iranian leaders have described the demonstrators as a bunch of vandals and called on their supporters to take part in pro-government marches on Monday. Federal prosecutors have opened a criminal investigation into Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. In a highly unusual move, Powell disclosed that the U.S. Department of Justice served the agency with subpoenas and threatened a criminal indictment over testimony he gave to a Senate committee about renovations to Federal Reserve buildings. Calling the probe unprecedented, Powell said he believed it was opened due to Donald Trump's anger over the Fed's refusal to cut interest rates, despite repeated public pressure from the president.
I have deep respect for the rule of law and for accountability in our democracy. No one, certainly not the chair of the Federal Reserve, is above the law. But this unprecedented action should be seen in the broader context of the administration's threats and ongoing pressure.
Back it up!
Thousands of people joined another night of protests in Minneapolis following the death of a woman who was shot by a U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agent in the city. Earlier, city officials said 30 people had been arrested during the weekend's protests, and one police officer had minor injuries after a chunk of ice was thrown at them. Protests against immigration enforcement have been held across the U.S. after 37-year-old Renee Nicole Good was shot in her car. More protests are expected in major U.S. cities over the next few days. One person has died and 300 properties have been destroyed in bushfires that have torn across southeast Australia. The fires have raged in dozens of locations across the country for several days, mostly in the state of Victoria, but also in New South Wales, burning through land almost twice the size of Greater London. A state of emergency has been declared in Victoria as thousands of firefighters and more than 70 aircraft battle the blaze. Residents in more than a dozen communities have been advised to leave their homes. Authorities fear the fires, which are being fueled by hot, dry and windy conditions, could burn for several weeks. Sudan's military-led government has returned to the country's capital after nearly 3 years of operating from its wartime base in the eastern city of Port Sudan.
Unprecedented war, unprecedented invasion.
Sudan's Prime Minister Kamel Idris told reporters that the government of hope was officially back in Khartoum and would begin efforts to improve services for the city's beleaguered residents. The military was forced out by the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces when civil war erupted between the two sides in 2023. The army recaptured it in a significant breakthrough last March. Khartoum has been recovering from years of fighting. Roughly 5 million fled the city at the height of the conflict. Thousands of tourists have been stranded in Finland's Lapland as a severe cold spell has grounded flights out of one of its airports. Departures from Lapland's Kittilä airport that would have ferried winter travellers back to places like London, Bristol, Manchester, Paris and Amsterdam were all covered on Sunday as temperatures did not move above -35. Temperatures as low as -39 Celsius are forecast by Finland's meteorological agency. The extreme cold makes it hard to de-ice planes, while maintenance and refuelling equipment on the ground can also freeze.
Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
And Timothée Chalamet was among the main winners as Hollywood's finest gathered for this year's Golden Globe Awards. The 30-year-old beat stars including Leonardo DiCaprio and George Clooney to the award for Best Actor in a Musical or Comedy for table tennis caper Marty Supreme.
Thank you.
Irish actress Jessie Buckley was named Best Drama Actress for Hamnet.
Owen Cooper.
And British teenager Owen Cooper continued a year of adulation and awards for his performance in Adolescence, winning Best TV Supporting Actor.
You know, what started off as what I thought, you know, I might be okay, I might be awful, I never know, so I took a risk and I went to drama classes. I was the only boy there. It was embarrassing, but, you know, I got through it and, but, you know, thank you.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel studios in Lagos.
Hello and welcome to Sports News. The Confederation of African Football has opened an investigation and warned of possible disciplinary action after potentially unacceptable behavior as players clashed on the pitch at the end of the Cup of Nations quarterfinals between Algeria and Nigeria. Tension spilled over the pitch at the end of Saturday's game in Marrakesh, which Nigeria won 2-0 thanks to second-half goals by Victor Osimhen and Akko Adams. However, CAF says it is also investigating incidents in Friday's last 8 tie between the host nation, Morocco, and Cameroon. Let's turn to club football now. Real Madrid have announced that head coach Xabi Alonso has left the Spanish Giants by mutual consent after just 7 months in the role. Madrid announced Alonso's departure just a day after the club's defeat to Barcelona in the Spanish Super Cup final in Saudi Arabia. Alvaro Arbeloa, who has been coach of Madrid's reserve team since June 2025 and also spent the last 6 years working with the academy, has been named as Alonso's replacement. Away from Spain, Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola says he cares more about how the club, quote, grew up than winning trophies as he prepares his side for the first leg of their League Cup semi-final away to Newcastle United on Tuesday. City ended last season without a major trophy for the first time in 8 years, though they did lift the Community Shield at the start of the campaign. But the manager, who has rebuilt his squad over the past year following the departures of key players, says the point was to prove or improve game by game. In the meantime, Newcastle United boss Eddie Howe wants title holders to harness the experience of last season's League Cup semi-final triumph over Arsenal when they play host to City at the St. James's Park on Tuesday, where the coach says he would have preferred to have home advantage in the second leg of the competition, having also finished as runners-up in the competition under Howe in 2022-2023. United have progressed from all three of their League Cup semi-final ties, the best record in the competition's history. And that's your Sports News tonight. I am Kelly. Again, guys, back to Anne.
Thank you, Kelly. And the main news again. The Pan-Niger Delta Forum, PANDEF, has set up a high-level committee chaired by former AGF Kanu Agabi to immediately mediate the political feud between River State Governor Fubara and Minister Nyesom Wike. Edo State High Court has ordered the remand of 52 youths arrested following protests in Epoma, sending them to Biaja Correctional Center pending further proceedings. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawado. Good night and please stay safe.